our friends at Taco Bell,
Yep.
we've partnered with them to preview and profile spotlight a number of games around the state, especially in the Houston area. And one of the games coming up is the East Chambers game with Hitchcock. And we're always looking for an excuse to go down to Winnie and talk some East Chambers Buccaneers football. And so here to talk about his surging East Chambers Buccaneers is the head coach, Coach Russ Sutherland. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
How are things in beautiful Winnie, Texas?
Well, things are going pretty good right now.
I would say so. You guys are coming off a very impressive win over Lamarck. You guys really step up defensively in this game. Going into that matchup, you knew it was going to be an important game. What was your mindset? What was your message to your kids heading into that matchup?
Well, we all know that we missed out on the playoffs last year for the first time in 21 years, and that really left a bad taste in our mouth. And we had played Lamarck very close last year, so we knew that we could compete with them. We knew they had a lot of returners coming back, as did we. So, we just went into the game with the mindset that we were every bit as good as them.
You guys go out and play particularly well defensively, and that's been something that has obviously been improved this year. What's the difference defensively? What is working for you guys on the defensive side of the ball that has you guys off to a 5-2 start?
Well, I mean, we have a lot of returners over there, and both our linebackers are playing very well. They're making a lot of tackles, and our guys just understand the system and what we're trying to do. Up until last year, we had been playing really good defense around here. Just last year, we had a bunch of young guys on the field, and we just couldn't seem to get anyone stopped.
We're talking with Russ Sutherland of the East Chambers Buccaneers here on Texas Football Today. Our interview brought to you by our friends at Taco Bell. Get involved in the conversation at #TF Today. And, Coach, the other side of the ball, offensively, you guys are running the ball well, as you guys tend to do when things are going good for East Chambers. And I want to talk about the guys who are getting the yardage in a minute. But first of all, it seems like the key to your success so far has been pretty good offensive line play. Is that right?
Yeah, we've had some really good offensive line play this year, and we're very young in the backfield. Our running backs are mainly freshmen and sophomores, so there's been a little learning curve trying to get those guys going, but our offensive line's been steady all year.
Yeah, you mentioned how young you guys are. It is really remarkable. From freshman Ernest Caesar, sophomore Cameron Smith, your quarterback is a junior Peyton Bertrand, and he's a relative old fogey back there. How do you get all these guys kind of pulling in the same direction when a lot of guys, a lot of the teams would say, okay, you're a freshman or a sophomore, wait till you're an upperclassman to play. How do you get these guys ready for prime time pretty much right out of the chute?
Well, we had to do it out of necessity. In years past, rarely did we even have a freshman that would even dress out with the varsity, but Ernest is very talented, and we knew coming in he was going to be good enough to be on the varsity. And then, of course, Cam was a rare one last year. He was on the varsity last year as a freshman. So, Cam does have a little bit of experience back there. But we knew we were going to need them all because they've all been nicked at some point this season. So we were going to need all the help we could get in the backfield.
Now I'm going to ask you. I need your help here because your outstanding linebacker Colton has a last name that is an absolute bear trap. So instead of mispronouncing it, I'm going to let you say it first.
Colton is DeVillier.
DeVillier.
Last name DeVillier.
Well, you get down in that southeast part of the state, and you never know, a lot of Cajun influence down there. But Colton DeVillier.
Well, I coached 20 years in Louisiana, and that would have been DeVillier in Louisiana.
Yeah. Right.
But here in southeast Texas, it's DeVillier.
Yeah, well, exactly. We take the Louisiana Cajun, and we just kind of like cut it in half. You know what I mean? So Colton DeVillier, you mentioned some of your defensive stalwarts. Here's a guy, at the senior linebacker position, a guy who's so important. You're the guy who gets to see him on the field every day in practice. What stands out about this young man?
Well, Colton's undersized, first of all. So if you would look at him, if he walked by on the street, you would not guess that he was a starting linebacker for us. And he's been leading us in tackles since his sophomore year. He's just a guy that has the nose for the ball, and for being pretty light, he will hit you.
We're talking with Russ Sutherland, the head coach of the East Chambers Buccaneers here on Texas Football Today, brought to you by our friends at Taco Bell. Get involved in the conversation, hashtag TF Today. Coach, you mentioned that you guys missed the playoffs last year for the first time in 16 years. This is a program that is used to success. How did that shape your offseason? How did that shape kind of your preparation coming into this year?
Actually, it was 21 years.
21 years.
Streak that we had broken, and it definitely guided our off season. We definitely kicked it up a few notches more than ever before, and that was not acceptable around here. It wasn't acceptable to the kids. It wasn't acceptable to the community. It wasn't acceptable to anybody, and we knew we had a lot of returners coming back, but we also knew that we were going to have to ratchet it up a few notches, and our kids bought in, and they did what was required in the hour. They all were willing to put in a little before and after school time also, so it was a great offseason.
But now you guys are off to a 3-0 start in district play, but no rest for the weary. You guys draw Hitchcock this week in what is, obviously the next game on your schedule is always the biggest game of the year, but this feels awful big. I know you guys are just in the early going as far as figuring out your game plan. I'm not going to ask you to tell us what you're going to do on Friday night, but when you look at this Hitchcock team that you're going up against on Friday night, what are you seeing?
Well, it'll be a playoff-type atmosphere Friday night with Hitchcock. They're a complete ball club. They're very good on offense. They have a lot of weapons. They have a lot of speed. They run that slot T offense. And, of course, they have 3 backs in the backfield that can carry it, and their quarterback gets a lot of carries also. So just trying to slow them down is going to be a chore. And then defensively, they're giving up very little. They've played very solid defense all year. So, we're going to have to find a way to move the ball and, just to be able to hang in there with them.
You mentioned a little bit earlier, I want to ask you about coming from Louisiana. You said you coached for 20 years there I know you coached at Sam Houston there in the Lake Charles area. I want to ask you a little bit about the difference. You coach high school football in Louisiana, now you come to Southeast Texas. It's not separated by a ton of miles, but how different is the atmosphere, coaching at a place like East Chambers as opposed to over in Louisiana?
Well, to be honest with you, it's very similar. Mm-hmm. There's very good football in Louisiana, just like there's excellent football in Texas. So as far as the atmospheres, I was the head coach at 2 schools, Sam Houston, which is a 4A school in Lake Charles, and then I was at Iowa, which is a 3A school just outside of Lake Charles. So as far as the football, very similar. Now, what is a big difference is Louisiana's on federation rules. Texas is NCAA rules, so I wasn't used to all the cutting that goes on, blocking below the waist. Bodies are flying everywhere over here in Texas, and I wasn't used to that. That's been a learning curve as far as the way you coach it, the way you coach offense and the way you coach defense, being able to handle those cut blocks.
He is Russ Sutherland. He's the head coach of the 5-2 East Chambers Buccaneers. Catch them in action this Friday night in a critical matchup, probably for the district championship, with Hitchcock this Friday night. Coach, appreciate your time. Congratulations on your big win on Friday, and good luck this week and the rest of the way.
Thank you very much for having me on.
There he goes, Russ Sutherland, head coach, East Chambers Buccaneers. He wasn't gonna throw Louisiana under the bus. I was seeing him up. I was like, go ahead. Just do it.
That was very diplomatic.
It was very diplomatic. It was about as about. I'm trying to get him in trouble.
No.
He's smart.
You're always trying to get coaches
He's
in
smart.
trouble. You're like, Coach, I'm not trying to get you in trouble. You are. You're always trying to get them in trouble.
I'm always trying to get you in trouble. If you're getting interviewed by me, I'm doing nothing but trying to get somebody mad at you.
Let's be real here.
But we appreciate Coach Russ Sutherland. Big matchup this weekend against Hitchcock, a game to watch down there in the beautiful Southeast Texas area.